Hi-de-ho, Weltenbauer Club. I was crafting before the YouTube channel and I made this. One of my patrons saw the tree on my Discord server where I show games and work in progress and stuff and asked me if I could do a video on it. So here we go. I wanted more trees for my gaming table anyway, so let's build a bunch. Let's cut some bases from MDF and go from there. Let's glue some styrofoam onto the base and then cut it into a rock-like shape where the tree can sit on later. Let's go through the bits box and find a grand sélection for the trees. Let's drill a hole in those tree trunks so I can pin them with a toothpick and PVA onto the styrofoam base. Yeah, the hand drill is a little bit romantic, but let's go for the power tools. Yeah, that's much faster and easier and better. Here comes the good old sand, plaster, PVA and water mix. Yeah, a little bit more water maybe. It should be a creamy but not fluid consistency. I smear it on with my hands, that's why I wear gloves, and try to shape it and make all the styrofoam invisible. And then I also take some stones, small pebbles, and stick it right into the wet plaster mix, so it will incorporate while drying. Next up are the branches. So smaller twigs cut with a small handsaw. Also pinned and glued to the stem. For this tree, I'm using colored moss. I got in a pack really cheap in a cheap store. Can't remember where. I think it was €1 for the whole pack. So taking a look at it, it looks dusty and grimy, and yeah, how would we get that onto the branches? You know my relationship to PVA. I guess you've seen the Elevated Highway, a love song to PVA video. If not, go there and do it after this one, please. Yeah, putting PVA on the branches and then trying to hang it over there. It's a nice try. It will stick when it's dry, but the moss is so fragile. We have to do some more to make it playable. I forgot to blend in the branches with the trunk. So it's visible when you just pin it there. There are gaps and it looks unnatural and nasty. So I take air dry clay and some sculpting tools, and then I fill the gaps with air dry clay and try to push it and press it and in a shape that looks a little bit more natural. And it's all about the transition between the two pieces. The transition has to be smooth, invisible. What a nice shot through the woods. Yeah, let's wash it. Wash the base and the tree a little bit and see what happens. Mustard and ketchup, please. I forgot to paint the white pieces of air dry clay, wet blending, making a mess. Doesn't matter, we'll go over it with the wash later. Heavy rainstorms are coming from west-southwest and soaking everything in water. So the moss will pick up the watered down PVA even better. This is a thinner version, but then I thought, what the heck? Let's soak it, and put even thicker stuff on it with an eyedropper. Yeah, just soak it, and then let it dry overnight. It's a mess. It is a mess. I love a mess, you know. So while this is still a little bit wet, I'll put some rough homemade flock. There's a video, you may want to see it. This time it was animal bedding. I put it on there, sift out the bigger pieces to put on there first, and the finer dust in another color, in a lighter color on top. Always try to save it, even if costs nothing, because you make it yourself. It's a lot of work. Yeah, and then I have this really super fine-ish sift one, and in a bright light color for highlights in the end. So I layer it from thick to thin, thick to thin, from thick to thin. Let's go for another round of wash. I washed the lowest parts, the base the most, and the stems a little bit. Yeah, to give it some more contrast, make some details visible. Here are some plastic plants I pre-painted. There's also a video how I prepare those. Go and check it out if you're interested in that. I cut them into small pieces that look like single flowers, not like those really big thingies. Sometimes a too big piece of plastic plant gives away the scale. So a big blob of hot glue in the middle, and then those single bigger leaves, looks like an agave or something like that. Stick it in there. You have to be a little bit quick, because when the glue is cold and hard, it's over. And for those tiny flowers, I just put a little drop of hot glue on the bottom of the plant, plop, and then, yeah, stick it where I want it to have. It's not really heavy, so it stays there pretty good from the beginning. You don't have to hold it or blow cold air to it or something like that. This time I wanted to have a lot of flowers, a lot of overgrown stuff, and I have this cactus-like plant and those small flowery plants. Nasty hairs, those glue hairs. I don't like those glue hairs. In my green box, it's the bits box for the green stuff. It's not the green stuff you model with, it's the greenery stuff. I found 2 packs of tufts. I have some, maybe 10 flowers left and some small tufts left, and I will use them because they are laying there for half a year and I forgot about them, so let's just put them on there. I like those small flowers with yellow blossoms. And now I take a long 9mm static grass and make another longer chaotic tufts directly on to the rock face. A friend of mine gave me this pink foam flock. He found it at home and couldn't use it or didn't want to use it, so I'm putting the bigger chunks, 1 piece on each flower. So it's a blossom now. I think it looks pretty cool. And it's so easy, and now the plastic plant is a little bit more invisible. If you recognize something, it destroys the whole look. What I like to do is to scratch on some soft pastels in different colors to give some accents. I used yellow and some reddish brown and some light greens. Sometimes I use it as a highlight, sometimes I use it just to mix up or blend in things that are too visible. So this light green is helping with the moss look effect. Also in my greenery bits box I found these leaves. They are photo etched. It's a sheet of metal, a thin sheet of metal, and you can bend it the way you like. This one does not have a stem, so I glue a wire to it. The cool thing about it is that you can bend it in the way you want. It stays in that shape. You can paint it, you can glue stuff to it. And it's robust, it doesn't break. So to put it on the model, I poked a big hole and stuck all the wires in that hole with PVA. Those here I pre-painted in the sprue, in a darkish green and a wash. And the white you can see, this is the residue of instant glue with activator spray. It makes this funky whitish thing. I liked it. In addition, I did not paint it with acrylics this time. I just dusted it with some pigment powders from soft pastels. I like those things. They look great, they're cool to work with. The downside is it's more expensive than plastic plants. So it is nothing for big quantities, just for an accent here and there, maybe.